Start.
Hello viewers and welcome to Off the Beat with Shruti. We have with us a very special guest today, Nikhil Verma, co-founder and owner of Urban Foresters India, a plant-based startup. What goes behind growing a plant-based startup and what goes in the making of one? We'll find out in this segment. Welcome to the show, Nikhil.
Well, thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you for having me here. It's like a pleasure to, having been interviewed after having a startup here. But yeah, thank
How's
you.
it going for you?
It has been quite a challenging journey as of now. We have not been in, establishment for past 6 months. We
Okay.
have been establishment for past 6 months, but yeah, it has been a challenging journey, and I see a lot of growth in this industry. So yeah, it
So
has
tell
been a
us
good journey
about
so far.
tell us about your startup then.
Okay, so the story about the Urban Forester India, goes way back to 2018. When I had started my career in corporate sector, I was an employee with one of the biggest financial consulting organizations in the world, and it made me come to a thought while working over there that what is the constructive factor that I'm doing towards the society and towards environment and towards everything. You know, when you call of startup, majority of the thoughts are fueled for our young entrepreneurs are fueled by what everybody wants to do a startup in some or other thing, and majority wants to do it in a food space and something like that, an aggregation industry.
Mhm.
So in India, the thought of startup comes with the thought of materialism. Okay, so because they want to achieve so much materialism and everything, but they don't know what is the cost of that materialism that we are taking from this environment to generate that materialism, right? So that was my initial thought that I need to do something to support, or actually support the growth of environment, and something like to support the environment, in other words you can say. So it goes way back to 2018. At that time, I think ESG norms were just starting to be the thing in the world,
Yeah.
in the major corporate governance around the world. So ECG stands for environmental social governance. So according to this, every organization in the world has to, provide their while doing their business. For example, if a company is generating an output of manufacturing, they need to be aware of the social circumstances and environmental effect of that. So based on that, every government has been, inching towards creating something value for the environment, and harming less towards environment. And majority of the startup in this segment that I am working in, which I call is the horticulture industry. It does not belong to the agriculture industry. It is belonging to the horticulture industry. Majority of these kind of companies cater towards B2C segment, selling plants to the consumers around India. But hardly there is any focus towards B2B segment in India. So that what brought my attention towards, and I thought, okay, there has been an increase of awareness towards the ESG, and ESG norms are day by day increasing, and government has been spending a lot towards the agricultural this thing. So there is definitely going to be a push by government as well when we go across, and definitely B2B segment needs to be tapped, which was the start of this my startup, what I can say.
Okay, so you've told
The
us
idea of it.
you've told us where did the thought come from to grow an online plant nursery of sorts. Now,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the union budget that was released today? Is it something that actually is going to help the horticulture industry going forward? What do you really think?
Oh, I believe, it is way too early. I can still say that budget was announced hardly an hour ago, and it
Narago,
is still way too early for, all the norms to be, regularized for next 1 year. But what I believe is that budget was more, inclined towards favorism of a specific sector and industry, and it was less inclined towards the agricultural sector and development towards it.
yeah.
So by the word that our honorable finance minister said, that they are more inclined towards development in, I think, EV sector, and now the financial system of introducing the blockchain, cryptocurrencies and all that, and more towards the exports segment. but I feel there was a lacking towards the MSME sector, which majority of the backbone of India is called as the MSME is the backbone of India. So yeah, I feel that something could have done in a much better way to incentivize whatsoever startup is in this agriculture or horticulture sector. Yeah.
So, do you think that the budget is accommodating enough when it comes to the new wave of entrepreneurs that the startup culture in India brings in every year? I mean, there are so many startups beginning to, propel. There are over 60,000 recognized startups if you only talk about 2021. So, do you think the budget is accommodating to those new young generation of entrepreneurs that come in?
I guess yes. Since the start, if you talk about the startup ecosystem, once the Modi government was introduced back in 2013-14, startups have grown tremendously, and the government is really inclined towards boosting the startups. We hardly had any unicorn startups back in 2013-14, but when the Modi government took over, the startup propelled like anything. So definitely there is a very good push towards startup. I would say that this cannot be denied on any level, that there is always a good push. And also they also introduced that they have increased um, the tax deferral program for all the startups for 1 year now. So I still believe that the policies and the in-depth policies are yet to be published by the government on this. And just listening to the words, I could definitely say that yeah, definitely startups have been there has been a lot of growth in the startup segment and in the industry by government, and that is commendable. Obviously, that is commendable. Yeah.
What are your thoughts going forward? As in, what are your plans for your startup, Urban Foresters? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? And what are the plans that you're going to, execute in order to get to where you see yourself?
Obviously, yeah. To answer that question, let me tell you that when I started my journey, I always start with a robust research about the industry and segment. So the segment or industry that I am operating in currently is called as horticulture industry.
Mhm.
Okay. And as per the reports of Center of Statistical Organization, that is government organization CSO,
Yeah.
it said that the horticulture industry until 2017-18 was expected to touch 9,000 crore rupees in Indian market,
Okay.
and until 2030 it is set to touch 22,000 crore and more than that. So with each and every year there is a push by government for the agricultural sector. So there is also a piece of it allocated to the horticulture industry as well. So how does it help me as an entrepreneur and me, someone who is operating his business in this segment? Definitely, I see that there will be support by government in this industry, which will help me incentivize my tax structure and everything. And more of related, if we don't talk about tax structure, I believe, like I told you, because of ESG norms and everything, I believe we will acquire more and more B2B segment in this, since this is the era where COVID and the effects of COVID are now slowing down. I see that a lot of businesses like consulting and manufacturing and all of these businesses will be reopening very soon, and that is obviously a good sign for us who operate in B2B segment. So I see a robust growth in like next 2 or 3 years, and hope so it goes well.
If I want you to talk about any memorable thing about this entire 4 year long journey that you've had, when it comes to plants, when it comes to the customers, if anything that's been really memorable, you remember it for a long time, what would you share?
It is that the sense of achievement that I get after establishing a project, if implementing a project at any of the one of any of my provided services to any of the corporate sector. So it was my first company that I provided my services to, and they were really happy to see the product. So the happiness that I get out of that, that is my product is used by someone and they are really happy about it, and they feel that it is more of a value generating aspect for them,
Hmm.
right, then it is kind of just a business generating aspect for me. I want to create more and more value towards this segment, and that's what brings really real cheerness and happiness, you can say, in this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us all of those insights on startup business, owning a plant based startup, and we wish you all the best for your journey forward.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Yeah. It was great talking to you. Yeah.